Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This is another Q&A with Dr. J on the topic of food. Today, we are going to talk about dairy, and we're actually going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at dairy and how it could be dangerous, not just for lactose intolerant people. That's not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about the genetic component and some of the latest science that's come out about genes, dairy, and bones. Dr. J, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. This is a big topic because, gosh, our dairy is one of our favorite foods in the whole world. The cheese and yogurt and milk derivatives and butter are just such a big part of our lives, really. But they can be creating all kinds of health issues. Our bodies are going to react differently. Some people can digest the lactose that's in dairy, but they can't handle the casein, which is the protein.
Hmm.
They can handle the milk sugar, but not the protein, or they have an immune reaction, like a mast cell reaction to dairy that can be creating even some very chronic conditions that we don't really associate with dairy. And sometimes it can be a delayed reaction. There is a possibility of what we call cross-reacting, or where our body attacks our tissue because it looks very much like the milk protein.
Hmm.
So it can make that mistake and start up an autoimmune reaction. But down to the very basics of, can we even make lactase, which is the enzyme that breaks down lactose, that is very much genetically determined. And so if you have genetic variants there, if both parents give you the wrong code and you have a homozygous variant, your ability to absorb and break down lactose, which is the sugar, with lactase, which is the enzyme, can be reduced by about 70%. And so that alone can create all kinds of digestive issues, gurgling and bloating and gas, because the milk proteins and the milk sugars are sitting in there and fermenting.
Hmm.
And that's nasty when you think about soured milk. That can happen. And that's number one. It can create all kinds of digestive disturbances. A lot of people react in such a way that it makes their joints hurt. We don't think about that. We think, oh, I had a great pizza last night, and they don't notice that they're hurting the next day. So it's something to pay attention to. And as we talk about these different foods, I would encourage people to try not doing any for a week and then trying some and seeing if you notice a difference. That's one of the cheapest, best ways to determine whether or not dairy is causing a problem for you. There is some research too that shows that because the dairy molecule is different than the human milk molecule, that it's actually low in magnesium and higher in phosphorus than what we're used growing up with as children and being fed as babies. That it actually creates an imbalance of magnesium and phosphorus and other minerals, and it can actually lead to some bone loss. There's some controversy about that as I began to look at it, because doctors are saying, oh, drink your milk because it has calcium in it. Calcium alone is just not the answer to gaining bone
Right.
density. There's just so much more to the story, and magnesium being one of the pieces. But the acidity of cow dairy can actually cause the body to pull calcium out of the bones to neutralize that acidity.
Hmm.
And it can cause some bone loss in that way. So lots of ways that dairy can really create a problem. And I know some people are like, it doesn't seem to bother me. But then again, it could be causing some symptoms that you're not even aware are associated with dairy. Just in general, I just don't think it's a good thing to do. There's lots of other reasons, which are hormones and pesticides and chemicals in dairy and the way it's pasteurized and destroys the enzymes, the naturally occurring enzymes that are in dairy or raw dairy. Lots of reasons why dairy is not a very good idea. And that's a blanket statement because there are different kinds of dairy. There's the A2 milks, the different types of milk and raw milk and dairy products from grass-fed. So that contains what's called a K2, which is very good for your bones and very good for cleaning out the arteries. But so much of the milk that we get, or the dairy products we get, are not grass-fed.
Yeah.
And that's a problem too. You get the whole K2 kind of concept. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you talked about it for anybody who didn't get to hear our supplement Q&A on calcium and magnesium. It's just a couple ago, so you can just scroll through the YouTube channel or go through your emails if you get these by email. And Dr. J explains the importance of having A, D, and K in addition to calcium and magnesium. What kind of magnesium? It's all explained in there. I did want to ask, by the way, always buy grass-fed half and half when I can find it. Because years ago, I read about how those poor milking cows have mastitis almost all the time. And where does that go? It's going to go into the milk products, right? Of cows that are kept in CAFO farms.
Yeah, and they're
Um,
on antibiotics. So,
yeah, but I wanted to ask, so there must be specific genes that show up that would tell somebody, because again, bloating could be from this, joint pain could be from all kinds of things. So would they get that information in my Happy Genes report?
yeah, there's a slider that
Okay.
shows especially the lactose. So there's the LCT gene and there's the MCT gene. And if you have genetic variants there, then you're most certainly going to have digestive issues with lactose. So it's a good idea to get that tested and see what's going on there. And that's just the lactose one. There are others that show for casein, what genetic variants are associated with casein intolerance. But one more, back to the K2, just real quickly to explain that to the audience. The K1 is in green leafy vegetables. So we get K1 and the cows get it from the grass. And that is converted to K2 in our gut if we have good gut flora, but it's not very efficient in our guts compared to cows and other ruminating animals. And so that grass-fed levels of K2 that are so protective of bone and cardiovascular system and getting the vitamin D absorption going, really a really important concept. So if you eat meat, make sure it's grass-fed. If you drink dairy or if you do butter or cheese, make sure it's grass-fed. And for the reasons you mentioned as well, because it's a really unhealthy life when cows are fed corn and then, like you say, have mastitis and then they're on antibiotics and they're fed hormones to make them bigger. So we get all those estrogenic hormones in our body. Estrogen is a growth hormone. And so they're fed massive amounts of that so they grow bigger and produce more. So it's a nasty product, really, to be honest, when it's not from like a natural source or a grass-fed source.
Reason that I stopped doing nut milks, which is not at all related to genetics, is because of the sugar that most of them
Oh,
have in them. If you get
yeah.
the flavored and this and that, and even the ones without the flavor, kind of, I don't know. I like the flavor of them, but I just decided to go find my grass-fed dairy and stick with that.
Yeah. I get joint pain
Oh,
when
do
I
you?
eat. Yeah, I wake up the next day and what? I feel like a bus hit me. So I'm one
Wow.
of those lucky people that I'll do a pizza once in a while, but I'm going to pay for it. So
Wow. So your whatever supplements you take does not, it's not enough.
yeah, it doesn't seem to be. I think there are some things you can do, like the digestive enzymes that have lactase in them, that can really help those people like me that can't really eat dairy without some side effects.
Yeah. And everything really is the test. It's a balancing act. We change all the time. If you think about how many times our cells turn over in a month, that means we're like a whole new being on the inside. So problems can rectify quickly. They can arise quickly. They can arise suddenly, but really it's over time. Again, you don't come out of my Happy Genes test with a list of supplements and you're good to go. That's it for life, right? It's going to change. And as you said before, if somebody stops eating something and they notice a different symptom or no symptoms until they add it back, that's the kind of thing you can do on a regular basis for anything.
And it's a choice. The genetic test will tell you what isn't your friend. And for me, dairy is not my friend. I can do a little bit and I can take enzymes, but if I start stocking up on it and doing it every day, I'm probably going to suffer because my genetics aren't in alignment with dairy products. My body just doesn't do well with them. So it's something that I choose to avoid for the most part, except once in a while I'll splurge. But so it's a choice. You do both. You do
Absolutely.
the stay away from those things that aren't your friend and add in supplements that can balance you out. And that's the happy spot basically. And that
Hmm.
keeps you healthy and feeling good and keeping your energy up and your brain functioning like it should and your weight down. So it's that balance.
All about the balance.
Yeah.
You have to decide for yourselves, people. And at a certain age, we pretty much know what is going to not feel good in our bodies.
You'd
But,
think so.
but if you're anything like me, you do it anyway now and again. Like you said, once in a while, you're going to have it because life is meant to be enjoyed as long as it's not actually hurting us. Okay, peeps, so we'll be back with another Q&A around food. Send us an email, info@myhappygenes, if you have questions about My Happy Genes or you have a topic that you'd like us to cover. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks, Dr. J.
Thanks, GC.